Yo, how's it going, everyone? This is Mitchell Mander here, and welcome to another review of the Pokemon Journey series. We're covering episode 113 in today's review, and it's the final Project Mew episode. This time, Goh is actually going in solo, but he ends up running into Gary, and they end up teaming up. So how was this episode overall? Well, before I get into the episode review, you guys know the drill. If you're new to the channel, you like this type of content, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. I do episode reviews for the Pokemon Journey series. I also do live streams on Mondays and Wednesdays. And yeah, you should totally subscribe to the channel, check out the live streams, and yeah. Anyways, let's talk about this episode, shall we? So Goh gets another notification for Project Mew for another trial mission. And he chooses the trial mission to catch Regieleki and Regidrago. And he's also informed that this is his final mission, so it's his last chance to get into Project Mew. He's currently in 7th place, tied with a couple others, whereas Gary and Tokyo are farther up ahead than he is. So yeah, this is Goh's last chance to get into Project Mew. So, he heads to the Galar region where Regieleki and Regidrago are at the Ruins of Decision. So Goh arrives at the Ruins of Decision, and Gary so happens to be there. It turns out he's also participating in this mission. And interesting enough, it seems like he's not antagonizing Goh as much as he used to. Seems like at the end of that last mission, they seem to gain a little bit more respect for one another, although they're not 100% on the best terms still. But anyways, they're trying to get into the ruins and they can't figure out the code to get in. It turns out the key to get into these ruins is actually catching the other Regis, being Registeel, Regice, and Regirock, which Tsurugi happens to own all three. It looks like he's been capturing these Pokemon off screen, with the exception of Registeel, which he caught at the beginning of this episode, which, by the way, yeah, he took down Registeel, and he caught all these Regis, so, Tsurugi, why aren't you participating in the Masters 8? I'm pretty sure you do pretty well considering your Urshifu seems to be pretty strong. But anyways, he opens the ruins for them so they can partake in their mission. So Goh and Gary have a pretty interesting conversation while they're on their way through the ruins. So as it turns out, the reason why Gary's participating in Project Mew is because he's wanting to research all Pokemon, and Mew will help him towards his goal, which I find to be pretty interesting since it's kind of similar to Goh's goal. It's kind of the opposite, where Goh wants to capture Mew, and then he'll understand all Pokemon, whereas Gary's kind of, researching all Pokemon, and Mew just happens to be a part of it, and will be a vital part of that, considering it contains the DNA of all Pokemon. I don't know, I thought that was a pretty interesting conversation they had. Anyways, they arrive at the end of the ruins, which contains the 2 statues of the Regis, along with a couple panels on the floor. And Goh and Gary quickly realize that they have to match up the panels on the floor to the eye pattern on the Regis. But it looks like only one of them is going to be able to capture the Regis, because whenever Gary steps on a panel, when Goh tries to do the same thing, it cancels out Gary's panels, and vice versa. And initially they're trying to compete against one another, and Gary actually proposes that they battle. But he wonders if maybe they should work together, and try stepping on the panel simultaneously, as they might both light up at the same time. So they try this out, and it ends up working, so maybe they both can pass the trial. Goh catches one of the Regis, and then Gary catches the other one. As they're about to step on the final panel, that's when they're ambushed by Lila and Shunya from the Battle Royale episode, who want to defeat them and then catch the Regis for themselves, so they can pass Project Mew. So they propose a battle with them. 1 Pokemon each. They can't use their other Pokemon as this trial mission. They can only use 2 Pokemon for it. So they definitely need to save their Pokemon for this battle against the Regis. But yeah, Gary and Goh end up winning this battle. And I thought it was pretty interesting how they won, and they actually used some pretty good teamwork, which shows some character development on Goh's part, because he would not listen to Gary back in the Articuno Raid episode. But here, he's working really well with Gary and listening to him. I thought it was pretty interesting too, because Lila and Shunya actually brought ground-type Pokemon to take down Goh's Cinderace, so to counter this, Gary brings Blastoise into the battle. I don't know, I thought that was pretty neat, but they were really trying to take down Cinderace. But I like how Blastoise ends up using Water Pulse on the ground. Gary has Goh command Cinderace to jump on top of Blastoise, and then Cinderace combines Blastoise's Water Pulse with Power Ball and takes down their 2 Pokemon, which also were debuts for this episode. We had a couple Pokemon debut in the episode. Galarian formed Duranitan, Runagus, which got taken out, Frostmoth, which is Lila's, and then her Sandaconda, which was taken out here. Also, Gary has a Heteran, which I thought was really cool. I was not expecting that, but I think it's awesome that he has a Gen 8 Pokemon. But anywho, I thought it was pretty neat that Lila actually has a backup plan here, because Shunya actually wants to take out a second Pokemon and try to take down Goh and Gary. But she stops them, honors their battle, and actually mentions that, yeah, if Goh and Gary fail, they'll have a chance at trying to capture the Regis, so they're just going to let Goh and Gary do it now since they won the battle, and they could potentially have their chance later. But anyways, Goh and Gary, they complete the puzzle, the Regis emerge, and things are not going well at first. Goh uses Flygon, Gary uses Heteran, and they both get taken out pretty easily, as the Regis are basically surprising them all the time. Goh will be trying to attack the Regidrago, and then Regieleki shows up and attacks him, his Flygon. So their first Pokemon gets taken out really easily, so it's Cinderace and Blastoise. And it's not going well at first, but interesting enough, Lyra and Shunya over here actually give some last minute advice to Goh and Gary to do basically the same thing that they did earlier in their battle against them. Though in this case, they actually use the environment to their advantage, as the Regis are basically trying to take them out in one swoop with a Twister. So Gary commands Blastoise to use Rapid Spin. Cinderace gets on Blastoise, and they're just basically spinning in the frickin' Twister. And it speeds them up big time. And they basically launch at the two Regis like a rocket, and ends up defeating both of them. So they capture the Regis, and yeah, they won. They capture the Regis. Project Mew mission complete. Though I do find it odd that they use Pokeballs. Tsurugi used Ultra Balls to catch his Regis, and Goh and Gary used regular Pokeballs. Kinda weird, and I'm pretty sure in the games they'd break out pretty easily from that, but whatever. They passed the mission. That's the bottom line there. And with the mission over, all the Regis are gathered in one spot, and it seems like they summon a nearby Regigigas, which Dynamaxes, which was kind of neat. But anyways, with this being the last mission of Project Mew, the results are in. And we have our three chasers. Gary placed first with 15 tokens, followed by Tokyo with 11. And in third place, it's none other than Goh with 10, since he got 3 in this mission. So yeah, that's our chasers. Goh and Gary have gained respect for one another. Ash has basically been training with his Pokemon this entire time at the Sakuragi Labs. And yeah, that's where the episode comes to an end. So overall, I thought this was a great episode. It's a good way to end off Project Mew, at least the missions within Project Mew. And like I've said in the past, it's been hit and miss, but it's really wrapping up really nicely. I really enjoyed this episode. When I originally watched it this morning without subs, I thought it was an okay episode. I thought it was pretty good for the most part. But with subs, with the context added, I really loved it and enjoyed the dialogue throughout this episode. And you see a lot of growth and a lot of characters. Starting out with Goh, this kid has grown so much since the beginning of the series. And look at him go in this episode. He basically told Ash to stay home, focus on your goal, get stronger. I'm going to focus on my goal. I want to capture Mew, so I need to do this on my own. So Goh headed off on his own, but he ended up running into Gary. They ended up working very well in this episode, and they both developed. Gary showed some development, and I'm going to get to him in just a second, but it just shows how much Goh has just grown since this series has started. He was very stubborn in the beginning, and now he's willing to work with other people, including Gary, and he's gained his respect, so I thought that was pretty neat. And he's grown a lot since even the Articuno Raid episode, where he just refused to work with Gary just because he was just getting irritated with them. And now, look at him in this episode. They're working really well together. And Gary at the end of the episode basically admits that, yeah, you're someone that I can work with. Let's work together for Project Mew. So yeah, that all was really neat. But one thing I wasn't expecting in this episode was for Gary to get development. This was actually really neat, and I actually appreciate it big time, because I was not expecting it at all. So Remember back in the trial episode that Goh had getting in the Project Mu? When him and Ash basically passed out in the snow and they were saved by Tsurugi, who basically told him, yeah, if it wasn't for me, you'd be dead. You'd all be dead, so you're disqualified. Turns out that something similar happened to Gary, and it turns out he almost got disqualified as well. Maybe not the same circumstances, but yeah, he almost got kicked out of Project Mu himself, and it seems like Gary picked up some teamwork skills from Mr. Tsurugi here. Yeah, I was not expecting that. I mean, Gary's always gone solo throughout the series, so to see him basically developing here and learning to work well with others instead of just doing things on his own, yeah, that's development on Gary's part. I love it. I have to give some praise to Journeys for doing this, because I was not expecting someone like Gary to actually get some meaningful development within the series. So yeah, this is great stuff. I gotta tip my hat off to Journeys for that one. Good job there, writers. Now, the only issue I do have with this episode is Regigigas. While I think it's neat that it showed up in the episode, I'm really hoping that this is not the only time we see Regigigas within Journeys, because with the opening, it seems to imply that Regigigas is going to be important to Goh's goal in Project Mu. I mean, Regidrago and Regieleki were in that shot in the opening with Regigigas, and they were both caught in this episode, so they're out of the picture. But Regigigas showed up in the episode and at Dynamax, so are we going to see Regigigas again? If not, then I'm going to be pretty disappointed, because it was kind of short-lived in the episode. But if it does appear again, it won't be an issue. But for now, if this is it, if we don't see Regigigas again, then yeah, I consider that to be a bit of a letdown. Alrighty guys, that's all I got for today's episode review. So overall, I enjoyed this episode. It was a pretty great episode. Not as good as the previous two episodes. I mean, those two episodes are going to be really hard to top. But this was still a pretty solid episode. So I'm going to give this episode an 8 out of 10. So in the comment section down below, post your thoughts. What do you think of this episode? Did you love it? Did you hate it? I want to hear your thoughts, so post them in the comment section down below. If you're new to the channel, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And guys, have a good day or night where you're at, and I'll see you all later. Bye.